First off, how cool are these shorts? Aztec design from XMartial. If you're looking to score some new gear, check them out below. Discount code Gabriel Varga to save 10%. Now today we are talking about 5 things I see people do when preparing for their fights, and I just go, no, stop it. There are so many ways to prepare for a fight when you're about to step in the ring or the cage, right? Every coach is gonna tell you something a little bit different, but generally, the coaches are gonna give very similar advice. But there's some times where I see things where I'm like, I gotta step up and I gotta say something. And before I had this channel, I didn't necessarily have the capacity to do that. I would go on little seminar tours for a weekend, and I would see somebody preparing for a fight when I was at the gym, and I'd see what they're doing, and I would just be going, oh, no. But I didn't think it was my place to say something, to go up and actually correct them. Now I can just give the information out there, and anybody who wants to listen can. But I don't feel like I'm actively critiquing somebody's choices as they prepare for their fight. So let's get through these 5 things. Number 1, why are you bothering with 10-kilometer runs? It's such a arbitrary number. It's like, why 10K? Well, because it's a nice round figure, of course. People are like, oh yeah, 10K, I'm gonna go and do that. But when we stop and we think about the pace of a fight, it's not consistent. Right? I don't go out there and start fighting and just consistently do this the whole time. So why are we just running like this nonstop? We want to make sure that our running is very similar to the way we're going to be fighting. When you think about a fight pace, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 whew, and then back to slow. That's why I preach. Slow sprint. Slow sprint. Now you can change up the duration of the sprints and the jogging, right? It doesn't need to be like 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. You can challenge yourself by mixing and matching. Sometimes you jog for 30 seconds, you sprint for 10. Sometimes you do 20 seconds and 20 seconds. You could do a 5-second burst and a 5-second rest. You can change it up. But 10K, I'm sorry, I just do not get it unless you're somebody who's maybe doing a 12-round boxing fight, or you're doing something like a UFC fight where it's a championship bout and you're going for 25 minutes in total, potentially. But when you're an amateur out there and you're doing 3 2-minute rounds, why are you going for a 40, 50, 60-minute jog? The next thing what I want to touch on, and I've heard many people vocalize this even on the channel, is like, why do I need to shadow box? I don't need to do that. It's a waste of time. I can hit the bag. I can do this. I can do that. There's so many other exciting options. Well, you might be right. There are more exciting options. But to bypass shadow boxing is to remove, first of all, one of the best warm-ups that you can possibly do, because you can start slow and ramp up bit by bit. I like to skip first with my rope for about 9 minutes, then do 9 minutes of shadow. My first round is pretty chill. I'm checking my technique. I don't have anybody throwing back at me. I don't have to worry about hitting the bag and damaging something. It's all midair. As long as you're not hyperextending, you're not gonna get hurt. But even more important, you have this time to imagine somebody in front of you and work on your reactions. And that to me is the most important thing in shadow boxing. It's not me just boom, 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 boom. Attack, 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 attack. It's me going, okay, I throw it. Uh-oh, he's coming back with the left hook. I block that, I counter, I move. Uh-oh, here comes the low kick. Now I get on the attack, he's swinging. Get under. Very dynamic. Get that brain used to creating an opponent that's going at a pace that you almost cannot match when you have a real opponent in front of you. Once you get to round 2 and 3 and you're warmed up. Anyway, shadow boxing when you're preparing for a fight or just trying to get better, I think it's so important. The next thing that I want to touch on is really, really hard sparring. Like to the point where you're going out with the intention of trying to knock your opponent out. It's a sparring day and you're trying to knock your opponent out. I don't quite agree with it. I actually don't agree with it whatsoever. I think there's a much higher risk of you getting injured. Obviously, unless you're a super high level, very rich professional fighter, you have to have the same people coming back in training with you. They don't want that. High level pro, for sure, they're paying people to come in and spar. But aside from that, you're going to be going through sparring partners like mad. Nobody's going to want to do rounds with you. More damage for them, more damage for you. And I just don't think it's necessary, because you have to protect this. When you think about how many rounds you're going to fight in your career, somebody like myself, I'm like, okay, I've fought around 50 fights. A lot of them have gone the distance. A lot of them have been 5-round fights. Some of them 3-round fights. I have maybe like 25% of my fights which have ended before the final bell due to KO or TKO. So what are we talking about? Let's say even it's just an average of 3 rounds. So I've done about 150 rounds in the ring. Every time I fight, I am doing 5 rounds twice a week. That's 10 rounds. That's a minimum. 10 rounds for about 7 weeks. I'm doing 70 rounds. That's half my fight career right there. If every time I go and I do half my fight career in a training camp and I'm getting damaged and damaged and damaged, yeah, you're gonna have to worry about this thing after. It's already a concern, but you are just perpetuating this danger cycle. So ease back, recognize, yes, you can attack the body hard. Yes, you can attack the legs hard, assuming your sparring partner is okay with that, but you don't need to be blasting the head back and forth. And I'm just still skeptical. 100% versus more like 70, 80%. Does it really get you a lot better going 100%? There are other ways to challenge your cardio, in my opinion. The next one is almost the opposite of what I was just saying. And it is people doing chill pad work. I see them on the pads, they elongate the rounds to like 5 minutes. I saw this in Thailand. 5 minutes. Boom. Boom, boom. I'm like, when have I ever seen a fight that slow and not even throwing 100% into the shots? In sparring, we ease back. In pad work, we go all out. If I had only one thing I could do in training camp, it would be pad work. I'd get rid of everything else, give me pad work. Because I can work the dynamic element. If I have a good pad holder who's throwing back, it's not just offense, it's lots of defense. I can work my full power shots. There's so much I can do. And we want to make sure that the pads are going to be a time where we exhaust ourselves. Right to the brink. We don't do that in sparring when we're going to get concussed. We do that in pad work, where we push, push, push. Pad work should be awful. It should be fun, but it should be awful in terms of how tired and how drained you feel when that final bell rings. That is my experience, at least. I suggest you guys do the exact same. When I do pads, I go an extra minute on what the round time I'm fighting is, and the break time is half. So 4 minutes with a 30-second break. Usually 5 rounds, even if I'm doing a 3-round fight. The final thing which I do not agree with is no cross training. And there are some people who will say, you don't need to do cross training. Or some people who say, I hate running, so I'm not gonna bother with cross training. Here's the situation, here's the deal that you need to understand. When you do the same motions over and over and over and over, your body starts to adapt to those. So if you have been striking for the last 10 years, hitting pads, hitting the bag, you start getting better at conserving your energy, being more efficient. Then it doesn't become as fatiguing as it was when you started. So you can feel like, oh man, I'm in the best shape ever, but you're in the best shape ever for that striking. Now let's say all of a sudden in the fight, something goes wrong, something's different. And all of a sudden you feel more fatigued than you normally do. You have not taught your body to deal with this unfamiliar thing. That is why we bring in cross training. We do the sprints. If you cannot run, you do something like assault bike. If you cannot bike, you do something like swimming. It doesn't matter to me what it is, but it's something that's different from the normal motion, that is challenging you in a new way. It is shocking your system. And then hopefully when you get in the ring, if you end up in some deep water where you're just uber fatigued, that extra training in that unorthodox way compared to what you're used to is gonna be very beneficial. Again, my opinion only, but I do think that a lot of the belts behind me, the ones that I've accumulated, back up what I'm saying. But of course, feel free to talk to your striking coach, get their opinion on anything I said, and if you don't like it, don't use it. But I'll tell you what, it has served me very, very well. Let's call it there, everybody. Thank you for joining, and remember, if you want more tips on how to improve your striking game, get right into here with so much more knowledge. Look down below. My Strike Ready courses are there for you, designed by me, 20 plus videos for each course, and just so much knowledge. I'll see you guys back here very soon.